some fun, right? It's the last series for potentially RNG. I mean, it is the last series for RNG.
Yeah.
Let's just have some fun, guys.
With a
Let's
little
go.
asterisk saying maybe ever, but you know, we're not going to go that far.
Ever?
Wow.
Damn.
Wow.
This just in.
We
Leaking
went
from
there.
Mazel cast on Twitter.
Hey, you never know. Yeah, I'm leaking, bro. I'm leaking. You know, that's my next job. It is the Nefiri, though, locked away, so it is the Rumble first pick into potentially a couple meta picks being open. I want to see some of that craziness. I want to see some of the flexibility in the draft itself. And there's the Kindred. Yeah, absolutely.
They're all Kindreds now.
They're all
Kindreds.
It's actually a really cool version of the modeling, by the way.
Okay, so we're getting Skarner, we're getting Nico potentially. Nico has been a support that has just kind of risen so much in priority for bot lane, just to kind of really assuage some of the early laning woes of some of our AD carries. So I wonder what other parents are going to be seeing with On the Wing.
Please, something. I want the Master Yi now that he teased it. I want it. I want it so bad. We'll see, though. The Skarner makes things not fun, I got to say, from the side of Xiaohao. I don't think he's having as much of a fun time as maybe RNG want to have here.
I'll take the Viego. No, okay. Varus. I mean, the Rumble.
Varus jungle, let's go.
Yeah, Rumble Varus historically has been a duo that gets you prio in both bot and top lanes, right? So you have a lot of control, even if your mid is going to be scaling or not necessarily interacting. So I do think it's an interesting like 1-2 setup for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could go for
Way
support
too
here,
serious.
but I think you're probably just looking for jungle. Just give Tangyuan, if you love your bro in the jungle. Right,
Let's
we're going
go.
For Viego. That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
And if you're looking to enable your jungle, looking for these early prio lanes, early prio Bryans is really useful, and the Viego can just start fights for you. But we need some CC for sure.
I'm terrified as a Viego going to this comp, though. As soon as you engage, right, like Pop Blossom, the groundwork with the seismic shoves coming through from Angel as well. I mean, there is so much counter dive right now as they do lock in that Talia.
May I add the fact that all of these champions get outranged by our Rumble and Varus. So you know, maybe we see something. You get the unstoppable from the Heartbreaker. So we'll see what the back end of this draft is already kind of coming on through here. I think that RNG are probably going to be looking to get rid of some more AD carry pairings with this Nico. I think MF is something that they could be looking for, already taken away.
I like the Aniban. Pretty iconic stun setup with Viego. Definitely thinking about what will enable the jungle because the draft already is doing that.
What is that hand sign, by the way? I know that's completely different from you guys talking about the draft, but there was like a
this. That's usually
sign.
like the Zeus pose because he does like the.
Now it's the on pose, okay?
Sure.
We adapt that here in the LPL. We are in the second phase of bans, though. Going to have some mid-prio continuing for EDG and see if they want to continue focusing that bot lane ban focus for the side of RG. We've gotten half our picks already picked from both sides, and there's not really any craziness. Where is it coming from, guys? Where are we getting the wild picks?
I think the crazy pick from RNG is probably going to be what their roster for 2026 is going to look like.
Yikes,
too
bro.
soon.
Yikes.
Too soon. All right.
You got on me for what I said. Come on.
And the Callisto
We have no excuses because we're the admin.
I mean, Ashe is still available if we go for the Callisto angle, which would be really useful.
Appreciate
also
you,
provide some
Kelsey.
CCE.
We're gonna see Ashe Varus. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I think Ashe Varus would be fun. I mean, if we're looking for some fun ball lanes, right? I see Callisto and I immediately want to pick Ashe, like no matter if it's support or ADC. So
absolutely, this was something we talked about in game number 1 as well. That was hovered by EDG, willing to go for that kind of more 2v2 focus matchup.
You can also just go Nautilus, just more jungle enabling.
Yeah, could be Nautilus. Leona also, I think, kind of works if you're going to have a Talia in mid, especially if we're talking about RNG already having like the Rumble and the Varus. You have just spot crowd control on the spot on wherever you want against EDG. But if they're going to have a mobile members like the Nico and the Talia, I think Renata's also fine. I'm a little questioning
Real
in
quick.
terms of what's up.
Tangyuan smiled really big as they locked in Ornn.
Is this Ornn mid?
It might be mid Ornn.
It might be mid Ornn.
I'm not. That would be absolutely hilarious if they end up going that. We'll see what the final pick is going to be for EDG.
I'm trying to think. Does mid Orn do anything into Talia? I don't know.
So you can
break
block
the
her
wall.
flick. You can block the flick where she tries to throw you, and once you hit level 6, if we're talking about the breaking the wall is cool, but it doesn't break the whole thing. It only breaks like a small entrance.
Just
and more so, if they ever do visit mid, they can try to force Angel's flash. I actually do think that RNG's composition, while wacky and a little weird, does feel like it does very well into what EDG are showing, where they're kind of going for a pick style composition. They're very low damage as this game goes on, and I'm looking at this from RNG side. Am I gonna have to watch a third game of this series, guys?
It could happen. I mean, I think I also like it. I think it's very much just we're enabling milkyway, which is more or less what we wanted from RNG this entire season. And if it comes out in this game when they're eliminated for split 3, then whatever. I mean, let's.
Why couldn't you just do it in game number 1? Come on. When it matters, you can pull this out. The Orn is going to be that lock in mid lane. Look at the smiles on RNG. A lot of weight, it feels like, maybe lifted off the shoulders. And sometimes that's when the big upsets can end up happening. EDG still need to clean this one up. Yes, they did lock themselves into that playoff play-in after not going down 0-2, but still a lot of work to be done from this team that does have some higher expectations as a team among this group Nirvana setup. But we're getting into game 2 now. We'll see if this Orn truly does pay off for RNG, if they can keep this series going. Their last series of 2025. We still have over half a year left, and they will not see any more competitive games. What a wild factor. We knew coming into this one, this historic matchup between EDG and RNG was going to be a fun one. Let's see if they can bring us the distance.
This is officially LPL story time.
Yeah, what's your favorite RNG memory first? We'll start with that one.
I think my favorite RNG memory in general was probably the 2017 RNG roster. Because I remember going to... I was in Shanghai at the time. I flew in. I went to dinner with one of my friends, and I had rated them top of their group, and he said, Kelsey, please stop. Like, RNG have no money, right? They're not going to be good. And then that roster was like the first Ming debut, right? Yeah, and they played around solo lanes with Xiaohao, and they did really well. I mean, like, Uzi played a lot of Varus then. It was a good time. So I really like that roster. They just kind of rose to prominence, and then 2017 was a really good year for them. Yeah, they got knocked out in semifinals at Worlds by T1, but
Sag.
Yeah.
So the last time we got mid Orn and competitive in a tier 1 region was actually Fate over in the LCK. But the last time we saw it in the LPL was YuKai, Top Esports versus IG, summer of 2022.
Oh man, when was the LCK one? Was that recently?
Also 2022.
Okay. The year of the Orn.
It was in July. Yeah.
We all remember 2022. Oh goodness, what a day, what a year. Anyways, it is something to look at this matchup here. I know we talked about RNG a little bit, but see, get the present RNG, a lot of weight off their shoulders, as we said, maybe at least imbibing them with a little bit of confidence here, as they do end up getting the kill in the 2v2 over on the TiVo. Thumbs up, the Top Esports throwback from JiaQi, and it's going to be first blood for RNG.
He's showing some love to his teammates, you know, the fact that he was on Top Esports Challengers before he was kind of coming on through. But I don't know, man. Like this 2v2 with Nico and Wink, yeah, there we go. We already had our super damage, but I'm kind of worried, especially with this. It seems like we're getting an on-hit Varus, especially if you're gonna have this Renata. So maybe not having that same range lethality that we were going to talk about with RNG, but if we ever get into a setup, you're still just going to have higher DPS all around coming in versus EDG.
Optimizing for playing in the team composition, the team fights against Cassandra and Skarner instead of just the lane matchup, right? Which, and if we're coming in and we're getting first blood anyway, then that's a big relief.
A big relief indeed, as we are going to come to the culminations of the first jungle pass. Maybe a little bit of a gank by milkyway mid lane here as well. The double knock up, or at least double CC chain, can be there. Angel will be forced to flash. So that's already 3 flashes down for EDG. Yes, we already have JiaQi's down too, but RG in the favor early.
Hell, I'll take that. I mean, Talia already has a pretty tough time with moving Auron out of the mid lane as a champion, and then now
does she?
anytime that... Yes, I mean, her wave clear is pretty piss early on, and you see that Tangyuan, he actually went for the Reju bead and D-shield start, so he has a ton of regeneration, so it should be tough. The only thing, if Tangyuan's smart, he's maxing Q in this matchup, you are basically just sitting there, and anytime that she gets in range for you to EQ her, your jungler can just come by, especially now that Angel doesn't have flash.
I also do think winning bot lane early sets up a lot of opportunity to make sure you have vision around the Auron. So if there is an attempt to kind of push him in or focus him to make sure he doesn't get prio, right? That option is no longer there. So we're really thinking about how to set up this one to succeed. And already we're sort of playing around the mid lane, so good times.
Yeah, so far so good. I also love the spell book for Tangyuan, as he will be able to get the double smite potentially later on. But also got to see how he wants to utilize that throughout the lane phase itself. We will have that first dragon coming up. Obviously, that game number 1, we did have a little bit of differentiation in those early objective focuses. But until then, we have a little bit of time. So now we get the other side of things, Kelsey Moser. The EDG memory. What's the favorite one?
My favorite EDG memory, Alk mentioned it before, but it's the Tallahassee 2015 MSI. That was a really good time. There was a lot of factors there. It was Mako's first year of competitive play. It was the first series, international series LPL 1. They beat T1.
Yeah.
It was very crazy. Also,
Did you
it
go?
was just in Tallahassee, Florida. Yes, I was there. Alk mentioned how old he was. I will not mention how old I was. He's considerably older. Yeah.
I'm at a disadvantage, but that's fine.
True.
It was my first event where I covered as a journalist full time.
Okay.
So that was
Awesome.
really cool as well. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
That's actually really sick.
And it was also the
we-
first time I met EDG Aaron and Clearlove. So great
Oh,
times.
let's go.
That's actually really sick.
Linda in shambles. So we're going to see
Oh,
RNG
no.
right now holding the entirety of the bot side jungle, although Angel now trying to make this pick on Niket.
They get the handshake. Niket, though, walked into the wall there. Ornhorn back across on a 2. Tangyuan
What
wants
the-
the kill now on Odd. He's flashing
Oh.
forward. That was a 3 CC chain in a row by RNG. They'll lose Niket for it, though. The bailout won't have enough there as Equalizer going to be used. EDG going to make it out. It is the 1-for-1, though. On is the one that falls.
I think you're fine with that, though. You're forcing out the Skarner into the topside jungle, or at least resetting. He'll have camps up as well. RNG can start this up, but I think they're more prioritizing just trying to finish up some of these lanes right now, especially that Xiaoxu having to teleport into the mid lane and catch this wave.
Oh, I like the
Thank
look
you.
there.
Oh, that's actually OP. Shout out producer Kai with the bracketology of what exactly needs to happen for either side. As you see there, EDG getting that win, ends up getting them into the playoff play-in. Oh god. Went down to 13 and then 1. They do secure it. First dragon will go over to Royal Never Give Up.
I think that's the producer reminding us that we should talk about the stakes. Because even though RNG are out, this is still an important match for EDG in general. They want to be able to play for an opportunity to get into playoffs. An opportunity to demonstrate that they've still got it, you know?
Yeah, they should have also, if I remember correctly, they have the head-to-head versus LGD. It comes down to tomorrow's match, Ultra Prime and LGD. I can't believe we're in a situation where LNG is a team that could possibly play in playoffs, considering they're a team that we had literally zero expectation of, and we're still disappointed with their 3 jungle swaps. But they made a last-minute run, and kind of exciting to see whether or not that'll be the appearance of them in Split 2. But we're getting closer to that first set of grub spawning here, and EDG are first to the play right now. You can see that RNG's bottom lane is just now trailing through the river. But I think much better setup for RNG, especially with Tangyuan and that call the Forge God getting ready to come off cooldown.
Yeah, you just really like the team fight setup right now for RNG. Gonna have that kind of half item completion as well. JiaQi having his boots completed there. The grub's gonna be started up by EDG first. See if they can actually just get a handle on this one. See milkyway coming around the corner there, but he's just going for his blue buff, so maybe just willing to give this objective over. And honestly, a little bit scary there. They will get the one potentially here, maybe second one, but the fight's about to kick off. There's Jane's Corruption onto the clone of all things. Second grub got secured, but now EDG going to try to make their way out. Angel tries to find a big seismic shove, does end up getting a ton of damage down, but it will be the trade back of the other grub going to RNG.
I'm actually just surprised that EDG just let them walk in like that. Like, EDG have a lot of tools that just let them zone or camp bushes.
Oh?
Oh,
Dude, Angel is feeling himself on this.
I love Ornn so much. This champ is broken. I thought it was really smart. There were some really cool mechanics we got to see individually, like Wink turning into a minion so that the spread of the Chains of Corruption from his clone doesn't actually tag him. I thought that was pretty cool. But I think that's surprising. Part of it is maybe the fact that they're missing some ultimates, especially between our two supports. They'd already gotten the Chains of Corruption plus the Call of the Forge Gods, so I think EDG just wanted to cut their losses and say, hey, we got the two grubs. That also gives us a feat of strength or gets closer to the epic monster slaying, so hell, why not? We got what we wanted.
I am wondering now, though, the compositional strengths here. Maybe we can dissect it a little bit on both sides. I mean, Wink getting his ultimate is going to be a massive unlocking factor for EDG, but Niket having his will be that kind of answer every time to that big engage. So how do we feel about these team fights that are coming up? Obviously, another Dragon, as well as more objectives down the road.
I think it's just really important for RNG to get control of the space proactively because they're not as very useful into EDG's team comp if they're forced to force into, but if you're walking in, then they have so much AoE zone control, they have so much ability to displace, so it's just hard to lay down some of RNG's ultimates that require a bit more setup in that situation.
Yeah. Also probably going to be waiting on some more items, especially. Oh, seeing the engage on the JiaQi.
No. Fate's Call going to be used. They will end up getting him out. We'll have burned that heal, though, on top of it.
Right. I mean, you're not too upset about that. You didn't actually end up losing all that much. Again, it was a trade of ultimates, and honestly, I'm more so looking at Wink still having that Pop Blossom to make a play happen. And you can already see that RNG setting up very early, utilizing this fact that they just pushed Wink out of this bottom side river, so they get some vision down, and they're even applying some pressure onto Angel.
Get a little bit of setup, at least around this bot side. Get some more plates, potentially. Still just flabbergasted. Tangyuan willing to bring out this Ornn in mid lane. Already on his first item completed as well. Kelsey, how we feel about the temperature check on the Ornn mid for the young starter of RNG as we're looking at bot lane gate. Maybe we don't even get a time, actually. It's Angel. He just leaves Wink completely by himself. milkyway will buffer that Pop Blossom with the Soul Steal. And now Angel and ZDZ are here as a response.
You know, I'm sorry, guys. I feel like you were here for the EDG story. They make it to playoffs, but I joined, and we're getting the RNG EDG banger. So many times, historically, has this series between these two gone to 5 or gone to 3, gone the full distance. Their very first major series was basically the qualifier for the 2014 World Championship. They played for seeding. And seeding first and second, and it was only a best of 3, but it went to 2-1.
Of course it did, and we heard Alk talk earlier. RNG technically is in the advantage in the game score between the two organizations as of right now. EDG making a mark of that in game number 1, though, but that will be EDG also taking a Dragon to even the Dragon stacking up 1-1.
Wow, RNG, they focused on trying to get gold first, and you know, kind of want to answer your question there, Lennon, about the Ornn right now. I mean, I love Ornn in mid lane because compared to some of his other roles, it's a lot easier for him to get gold and experience so that he has access to those masterwork items. And so just having this Ornn kind of set up plays, again, playing around the Milky Way and getting him those resets definitely feels nice. Also, first item starting to come on through. They used all of that just to get some plates on bottom side. They get a summoner spell out from Angel with the teleport as well later on. So, I mean, it's minor advantages here for RNG, but I like what they've been doing with playing around the map, and especially with this this bottom lane duo. It's a lot easier for Varus to get mid priority in this stage of the game.
Just wondering now as well, like, he's up 30 CS over Angel. He's like up almost 2 levels.
I think
man.
It's now this champion is broken.
I did laugh, okay? It's a mid lane Ornn. But it really does feel like RNG is taking advantage of all that weight being off their shoulders. Yes, they are done for the rest of the year, but that does not mean they can't deal a blow to EDG on their way out, Kelsey.
Yeah, I really just want to see how they're able to use this setup to make sure, and they already have control, right, before the next spawn of Rift Herald. I want to just see how they're able to maintain their control, how they're able to fight on the bushes, and how they're able to especially enable Milky Way, because that's what this composition ultimately does.
Try to see how they can utilize that. I still, like, Niket is still such an interesting storyline to me. I mean, obviously he's been a little bit subdued on RNG, it feels like, but really turned some heads at the start of the year as well. Now we're taking a look at the map state, though. RNG, we're looking for a potential play on top side. They are going to catch out Wink, who's really by himself, going to be forced to pop the defensive Plot Blossom. Gets Fates called in, so he can survive. Ornhorn going back there. Chains Corruption going to be used. TP coming in as well. Xiaohao literally cannot play the video game. Double flash coming out from both of them. EDG licking their wounds, but they will make it out alive.
That's incredible there for RNG. Not only did they get a bunch of ultimates, but now the flash wave from Angel and from Xiaohao. Angel's probably going to get dove on this wave. Xiaoxu used the equalizer just to make sure that he buys time.
Oh no, they got a little bit of revenge. They didn't even need to dive. JiaQi snipes him down, takes him out, and that should be the Rift Herald also going the way of RNG.
Take those.
And just look at how much setup and how much vision they had there, right? Like, they were already ready for just someone to walk in. And even though it looked initially like Milky Way was being a little risky, he knew he had his teammates to set up, and he knew exactly how far away all of the EDG members were. So he was just ready to execute, and they got Wink low enough that EDG had to retreat.
It's almost a 2,000 gold lead now for RNG, as they're going to be looking to take down that turret as well. Will be first turret of the game if they can take that one. They also got the Rift Herald, so some standing gold waiting for them to be taken. And they're going to balloon this lead up to about 3,000 gold now. EDG looking for a play on bot side. The ward going to come out, but they can't get Niket. Niket able to masterfully get away on this big crash away, but Tangyuan still so damn tanky, almost on 2 items. Nobody can really shred this health bar yet.
Oh, the ultimate though.
Okay.
All right, this is it's a zoning ultimate from Niket, but I just don't understand how we're trying to dive in Ornn. Like, he already is very tanky. He actually has a hollow radiance, so basically he just has the magic resistance variant of like a Sunfire, so he just explodes all the minions. It's really good for him to be able to wave clear. I think this is a very risky play from EDG, and maybe already a little bit of desperation in this game. Now 3,000 gold behind, and you have the dragon spawning in 45. They used a lot of their timer there to make that play happen, and without anything going their way, still feel like EDG are feeling very good about their chances. They even have the Hextech portals to really kind of be a little bit later out on the map and kind of cheat for vision.
They also, instead of using their timer to clear out top and make sure that they get top control before Drake spawns, so they don't have to go back up there again and address the wave, they overhauled to dive the Ornn.
Oh, they're going to do it again. Oh, he's still taking forever to die. Will end up going down over to Angel, though, so that'd be a nice little pick by EDG.
They stopped there to the top wave, like Telsu said.
Yeah. Gotta try to get back over there. Weaver's Wall is available if they want to get over there quickly, but this wave crash in mid lane is also going to be something they have to deal with. Looks like everything should just be fine. That wave did crash in topside. A little bit of a collapse from RNG around this mid lane now as Rift Herald's going to come out.
Yeah, and even though they got those kills, right, like Alk was saying, just because the map is so much in favor of RNG right now, it's very hard for them to capitalize on it. They are not even able to start the dragon here.
There's a big white square on the map.
Yeah, there's a giant
Nico.
white
It's because Nico,
square.
she's the specter.
The ghost, yeah. That's actually hilarious. Wink is like, if I can't get anything else out of this game, I'm going to at least break the game before I end up getting this game going.
$1 million company right here. I'd love to see it. All right, well, Xiaoxu can jump over this wall using this blast cone. Also has the equalizer for the range. They're going to try and go for the Callista Ren combo.
Look at Xiaoxu, though, on the other side. Weaver's Wall going through. Dragon goes the way of Milky Way.
Nice,
he gets the second one there, and RNG are taking this one all day long. Resets coming through, and they just look for each fight they can. Milky Way makes it back over the wall to chase ZDZ. He is his brother in arms in that Skarner, but not any longer. As him and JiaQi are going to try to run down ZDC. He's throwing up the Timo emotes. But another fight win for RNG. And it just feels like they are vibing here as a 4th kill comes through for JiaQi.
How do you get the smite when there's a Kalista who's been hitting it for like 15, 20 seconds? I feel like there is some pretty big mistakes coming in from EDG. Maybe having a little bit of fun like we had seen from them earlier on into this game and some parts of game number 1, but that feels like a massive win for RNG, not only grabbing all of those, but even getting some kills on the back end of it. This is looking way more like an RNG favorite game.
I wonder a little bit about the replay because I do think the blast cone was huge. And the fact that Xiaoxu was able to get over the wall here. He doesn't necessarily have drop the ult, but damn.
No smite from Xiaohao.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I agree with Kelsey here. Just like having the Rumble immediately put some threat into the pit where maybe EDG were thinking, okay, like we don't know exactly where Rumble is, but we know like if we put down this wall, there's a very high likelihood that he's going to be cut off from the rest of the team. And so at least reinforcing Milky Way into that Dragon Pit feels very good for RNG. And so I mean, they had they got one of the grubs. They were able to grab the Herald and use that on mid. They weren't able to take down the full turret, and that's kind of the last bastion for me if I'm looking at this from EDG's side. The fact that they can still contest this mid wave so far up is kind of the only ways that they're going to be able to at least proactively get into the river and not have to walk into too much fog of war that is in favor of RNG.
Speaking of proactive, they're going to burn the Atacon. That is bold, my friends. Angel going to be spotted out on the ward. They're still going to commit to it. Okay. They might end up getting a little bit more than they can bite off here. At least more than they can chew. Is EDG going to be surrounded now? You have to be very careful the length of engage. They're pulling off now. EDG scattered to the wind right now. I have no idea what's exactly happening on my screen. As On is by himself on a flank, going to be immediately collapsed onto. You have to remember, they have this massive flank. On is just completely caught. 3-man Ornhorn across the board, and another one goes down as they try to find this fight on RNG. They do get a double kill from On, but RNG find resets all day long for Milky Way. They end up finding a triple for him and gonna finish it off with the final 2 kills going down. That is a clean ace for RNG.
This game's looking as one-sided as the first game. Definitely, but this time in RNG's favor, right? I think just a lot more coordination, a lot more thought going into this competition, how they want to execute it. EDG's map movements and EDG's decisions just seem very desperate. The Dragon pull, the Otacon pull, both without clear setup, just makes it very easy for RNG to say, okay, we know exactly what our composition is going to do. We're going to press R for Orin, we're going to press R for Rumble, we're going to layer those ultimates, and we're going to see how we play out the fight.
Just like On and Xiaohao, like this is another objective where we have a million spears into our to the objective, and we're just not coordinating between the two of us. We feel like we're afraid, again, not marking or trying to find where this Rumble is either. Part of this, I feel, comes back to that early game where we saw the 2v2 for RNG go their way. They found that 2v2 kill. They were able to pressure the Kalista and Nico, and all the way from draft, you know, part of the reason why Nico has been so powerful is obviously her ultimate is very impactful when we talk about team fights, and she kind of works so well on kind of a budget when you're playing her in support, but she's also a very strong laner. So we were expecting for On and Wink, especially as a duo, to hopefully take JiaQi and Niket to task, but that has fallen apart, and a lot of this map has just completely come down and come off the seams here for EDG.
But what a great performance from RNG. Again, their last gasp effort here, their final series of the year. An important one at that. Try to take down EDG at the last moment, and here they find themselves 8,000 gold up, much like in a position that EDG were in game number 1. Complete control as well after getting that last dragon. We'll have another one coming up in about 10 seconds. Right now, EDG's name of the game is just a fight away from RNG.
It's just in their DNA, you know? Even when they're out, they have to screw over RNG one more time. It's just EDG one more time.
We must take this to 3. You know, we were talking about that. The all-time before the series was 57 RNG, 50 for EDG, but they said, hey man, for old time's sake, let's go to 3. Let's push ourselves.
let's just see what could happen. You never know what could happen. We are on second items now, though, big time for RNG.
One of my favorite quotes was just when they were playing for MSI, like 2016. It was EDG were so confident going into that. Clearlove said, "I'm already studying my opponents, etc." Right? And then RNG said, "You know, study them a bit more. It's fine." And they won that one. So.
Look, I feel like history repeated itself, right? Like maybe it wasn't for internationals, but you know, Beichuan and BLG, the very famous Thunder Talk series that we got at the beginning of the year. He's like, we don't need to study for our opponents. And and it was Hoya actually. It was
Dude,
like,
what
actually
is
got to study
this?
for us. It's a free win for RNG, is what it is, Lennon.
What the hell am I watching,
through.
man? What the actual hell was that? On just didn't even get to play the video game. He had to stand there and watch while they killed him with an entire screen of distance between them.
Get oiled.
And maybe that's just what has come to Tangyuan. He smiled that devilish smile when he locked it in, but honestly worth it.
It's just the power of range, as Alk said. In the draft, you know, entire composition is outranged. Bro tries to approach the tower, just gets one shot before he can even auto back.
Warren mid's looking OP. The stonks are rising. Let's see if Tangyuan can win. It is a 2v2, a 2v1. You got Nico as well on a huge play. We are desperate.
Come on. Yep. Brutal, bro. Tangyuan is taking on the entirety of the team. He finally doesn't die. He's not dying. Okay, he gets bailed out. He'll get the kill in the end. A four-man hostile takeover in the end, but they have lost a big part to their front line as they will end up taking the blue buff away. RNG slink away from their side of the map. EDG do find the pick that they spent literally everything on.
I think this is very fake, though. Even with this teleport, they're now going to know that Xiaoxu's coming on through mid lane. There's no Talia ult. There's no Skarner and Pale. No Wink ult either. This is such a Hail Mary.
I think we're getting ready for this fight, though. RNG locked down. JiaQi going low. Does have the bailout, but will not be bailed out. 1,000 gold. Go the way of Xiaohao. And now the all-out used by ZDZ. Can't find Niket. They're going to turn back to the Baron. Look at these forces coming through here. They aren't going to go straight to the Baron, though. In the end, they will end up backing off.
Again, it's the fight that EDG want without the map setup they want, right? Because even though they get a pick there, they can't exactly get an objective. The wave bot is pushed in. RNG was forced to phase check them, so they managed to get the engage with the ultimates that they have that are easy and point and click, but...
Ooh.
Wow. Guys, JiaQi had a tough game number 1. The LPL observers, we don't need to be doing this. He's a young kid. You know, there has to be rules against this kind of stuff, but whatever. Like Kelsey said, the map just wasn't in a great spot there for EDG, but hey, able to find at least 2 picks and a couple summoner spells, so hopefully they can try to leverage this advantage now going in, because it's a minute and a half before a Hex Tech Dragon is going to spawn, and that is Soul coming on through for RNG if they're going to be able to claim this one. Again, we have not seen EDG, specifically On and Xiaohao, work that well here in game number 2.
Oh, Xiaohao flashing over the wall. Chains of Corruption went wide again, but the Ornhorn did not. Angel goes golden. Double knock up there again by Tangyuan as they get the first Soul reset by milkyway. Now looking for the flash play. milkyway wants it, doesn't hit the seismic shot, but JiaQi takes down Wink with a big piercing arrow at least. ZDZ going to be the next one to fall, and might not be able to blow in those ZDZs in the chat just yet as we're going to game 3 here. RNG with an almost 10,000 gold lead, and off the back of some very consistent fighting are going to even up their last series of 2025.
Yay! RNG can win a game. You're a little late. I feel like, you know, if we would have had this in game 1,
would have been good in game 1.
Would have been great, but, you know, it's similar to OMG. Gotta win one.
It's the classic phenomenon. You know, once you're eliminated, pressure's off. Just have fun. Play like you play.
They're not even going to finish it. Well,
all right, guys. So I know we've had a lot of people doing some wagers in chat using the Twitch points that they've gained. Do we think that there is any chance that we get a legendary RNG toss here in this game?
That would be a one of all time, but honestly, if you're going to go out Might as well go out with a bang. Go out with like the biggest throw of all time in the LPL as your last game of the season. As now we get that double engage. Just eliminates the backline solo, and unfortunately that's just another wallet diff. Straight to mid lane, straight into these TPs. You didn't even have Xiaohao with you for EDG on that fight, and I think they knew that it's a go next angle.
Well, what do we think about game 3, guys? Is blue side going to prevail? Do we have?
I think blue side might be slightly OP as the stats have shown, but
that could be the
so
case.
too.
Kelsey, I think you and I have both, we've been in agreement about this. Draft doesn't matter. Stats awful. It's all about the gameplay here.
True. It's definitely about the gameplay. On one side of things, maybe not the greatest of gameplays, but on RNG side of things, they knew what they needed to do. They got it done, although one game too late, unfortunately. They are still locked out of 2025 for the rest of the year, but have the opportunity to do some really funny stuff against EDG.
In many ways, this was an historic EDG RNG matchup because you had RNG controlling the side lanes, you had EDG looking for the 5v5s, generally the scaling jungler. Very often Clearlove would just farm and then come to team fights. You had very, very high team fight kill participation for across the board just because they would always fight together. Whereas RNG was one of the first teams historically in the LPL to really understand what a side lane was. So, we basically had that going for us this game. It's true to their roots.
And the classic situation of if you throw a pick that doesn't normally get played against any LPL team, no matter what ranking they are in the league, they just don't understand what happened. They throw their hands up. They're like, wait, what is League of Legends? But the Ornn mid, all memes aside, actually did pay off really well. And I think Tangyuan played it very well, being so mobile, so active on the map.
See, we took away some of his agency in the game, and he performed so much better. All he had to do, he didn't have to be a main damage dealer. Why did it take us 5 months for Tangyuan to play secondary ward for Milky Way? I feel like we should have came to this conclusion a long time ago, unfortunately. But hey, now we're here. We're in a possibility of a game 3, and even with RNG eliminated for the rest of the year, there is the possibility that they do some of the funniest stuff ever, where if they win this series, they go up to 2-3 in their game score, potentially even kind of help knock Ultra Prime out of contention.
Well, you got to do that to Ultra Prime. But, I mean, in general, when I think the game plan was very sound, when I see the Rumble Varus 1-2, I said, finally, we're going to play pushing lanes, we're going to enable Milky Way to fight around everything, and then we have a mid to set him up. It's all gravy from there.
Apparently, it's easy ridings, but really, really impressive stuff from RNG. Some definitely interesting calls from EDG, but I got to think about now the draft setup for game number 3 because we've had very clear conditions in 2 games in a row for RNG, and I think this one definitely was executed on better. But being able to find that again, I think is going to be harder to come by as you're going to be going into 30 bans of champs.
I think it's fun, though. I mean, the fact that this is something that I feel like, sometimes when we have these unique champion picks, actually kind of goes, into the theory of playing Fearless Draft, which is, champion economy and eventually, draft economy as to what you're allowed to pick. And now Ornn, in a game where, we're not really expecting them. Now Sion's also gone, so maybe we get some more of those big bruisers that kind of like that Jace and maybe the Renekton later on into the series. And that's just another mid lane champion gone from Tangyuan. Not just the Ornn, but now Talia as well gone from these 2 guys.
Yeah, some big picks going to be out the table. Kelsey, is the nostalgia winning out here? Are you feeling all the nostalgia from all these years these 2 organizations been going at it in the LPL? All the glitz and the glam, all the best gameplay you could ever ask for?
Group Nirvana, of course, is the best gameplay.
Group Nirvana is where it's at, though, honestly.
It is.
I
it's
mean,
very
straight
fun.
up. This isn't really an LPL gold graph, and this doesn't really feel like a Nirvana game, but it did go to Elder, right? So even though it was extremely decisive, I think that's a requirement for Group Nirvana, is you must go to Elder. The game must have an Elder fight of some kind. Usually 3 or 4 is preferable, but...
True. I'll give it to EDG as well. They felt like the end was near, and they were like, you know what? We're going to jump off the cliff. Maybe there's something there that can catch us at the bottom. Maybe it's just going to be a rocky finish.
They can get a Callista ult in real life. They can get pulled back. The Fate's call. Don't jump.
All in with that final fight, which did not work out for them. But I give them the benefit of the doubt here, getting ready for that game number 3. We're gonna take a look down memory lane, not of the organizations, but of this game number 2, and the impact that Tangyuan had on this Ornn mid.
I agree with Kelsey though. The Group Nirvana has had they have less games than Group Ascend by a far margin, but every game matters that much more.
Exactly.
And as soon as you see this happening and this game occurring, you know that Linda somewhere is crying deep inside. Just as
okay. I like it. I like it. There's a little shout out to Linda, the GOAT, by the way.
I did ping her earlier. I did ping her earlier in the server, and I said, GLHF, time to see EDG lose to RNG. And she was ready. She was already mentally ready.
Why did you do that? I gotta ask you. I got a request from Prod. How are you feeling right now, Kelsey? How are you feeling? Feeling okay?
Great. Having a great time. I got to see RNG win just one more time this year. It was good, enjoyable. Maybe they'll win a third time.
You never know. Kelsey despair on this.
The crash out despair and the perfect time. Got to watch RNG win.
This is wonderful.
I got to watch RNG win. It's great. Yeah. You
got to see both of these teams win, at least now.
That needs
to
join ZDD, by the way. We need to get a little screenshot of Kelsey in the despair moment and then have that as our second emote. I'm just going to call that right now. We're all the admins on broadcast right now. We can make the decision.
That is true. I've been abusing that power. Whenever it's like me and one of the other casters, that's the first thing I bring up, especially with Slayer, is just like anytime he wants to like banter a little bit with me or make fun of me, I'm like, it's coming out of your paycheck.
The paycheck.
We can't pull rank here, unfortunately. Unless actually Kelsey would probably have most seniority, not only because of the Tallahassee thing, but also because she's our financier. So
yeah, absolutely. And also was the
founder
of the first iteration of LPL English, which is another huge shout out to the beginning of the, I guess, co-streaming era. I don't know. That was a long time ago. My God.
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly what that was. I think I've never heard that word co-streaming. Never.
Never.
But I do think like RNG EDG, it's still exciting. It's still got a little bit of magic. And I did want to quibble a bit with your intro, Mazel, because you said one of the greatest LPL series rivalries. It is the LPL rivalry.
True.
It's been going for so long. It's been hype forever, right? Like it started 2014. You had that banger 5-game series. EDG was supposed to win. EDG were dominant for so long. I think they won like 9, because this is when there's still a lot of domestic tournaments at the time. EDG had won 9 titles basically going into that, and RNG win in 5 games, or they were Starhorn Royal Club at the time.
Yeah.
And then 2021 all the way, we had the back and forth. We have so much energy. 2021, you have EDG getting the 5-game series win in quarterfinals and going all the way to the final, like RNG did in 2014. But this time they win the whole thing. Get LPL another world's title.
They do it there, and then earlier in 2021 we have the RNG MSI title as well.
Very true.
And it's even though the rosters are in the states they are, right? Last year wasn't a great year for them. This year isn't a great year for them. Yeah. But you still can't help but get excited when you see these logos, I think, on screen as a longtime LPL fan. So
for sure,
I completely agree, and it's a big shame that RNG will not be involved for the rest of the year. I know both them and OMG will definitely be missed in some capacity, but obviously the organizational standard and the history between both of those orgs being done for the year is absolutely insane to me. But we have to also look forward to the MVP here of this game number 2. Honestly, give it to the whole damn team. They came out with it at the end, finding a lot of advantage. But it goes to Tangyuan.
Let's go, Tangyuan.
After 3 years of no Ornn mid, we get another one, and it gets MVP.
No, I don't want to see Ornn highlight reels. I actually would prefer to get out of this game as soon as possible. It's going to be a lot of Ornn pressing ult, and that's it.
Prawn asks in the most wholesome, nice way, hey, do you want to see the... No, I do not. I am done.
Prawn is rebelling and showing the highlight reel anyway. It's
Incredible stuff. Well, that is it for game number 2. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll get over to game number 3 after we have a short little break. We'll see you there.